All right, fifth hour, here's a little help on that homework for today. First four problems, pretty straightforward, just like some of the examples that were in the lesson. You're going to solve them, put the answers in order from least to greatest when you need to, okay, as it says up here. If you think there's a no real solutions case, as we've talked about in the past, then put no real in the first blank and then solutions in the second blank, okay? Not guaranteeing you'll see one of those today, but just something to be heads up on as we go forward. There will be problems sometimes where you have to take a square root of both sides, and you won't be able to because one side's a negative. So just be aware. Again, maybe not you'll see one today, but you definitely will see them as we go on here, okay? Going on to the next set here, again, I'm not going to do a lot of the problems. If you need individual help on one, I'll definitely help you. But I'm just going to kind of give you some hints on them or get things started. Just note for these ones that are 6 and 7 that have fractions here, okay? I know you know how to deal with fractions like we've done in the past too. If I'm doing this problem, and again, I can think like drawing my line, and now usually if there's a number outside in front of the parentheses, I'm dividing by that number, right? So you'd be dividing by 3 halves. Remember, dividing by a fraction, is like multiplying by its reciprocal. So on this side, you could think it's like I'm timesing or multiplying by 2 over 3. And 33 over 1, so I'm just kind of showing you don't need a calculator for this so much. 33 over 1 is how I'd write that one as a fraction, right? And I'm multiplying here. And again, just some kind of small tricks that you've learned back in 6th and 7th grade. I can cross reduce now and cross these both out, and this becomes an 11, this becomes a 1, and 11 times 2 is just 22. So, again, not even needing a calculator or anything. The 3 over 2's cancel out. You just have n plus 1 squared equals 22. And now you can keep that problem going from there. So just remember a little reminder, even the fraction ones, I know ones you can totally deal with. Yep, looks a little goofy right offhand, but you still remember tricks to deal with those as well. So I'm not worried about you doing those, but if you need some help, I will help you. Let me know. 47, 48, and 49 all deal with different circle shapes here, circles I should say, and it gives you the area of a circle, and so you have to recall what the formula for area of a circle is, and then find either the radius or the diameter, whatever they're talking about. As a reminder, you could look it up, otherwise I can help you right here. Area of a circle, remember, is pi times the radius squared. So if they give you an area, I'll start this first one off. They give you the area of this circle is 144 pi. Remember, you can write a circle or area in terms of pi, especially with circles. We do that sometimes, and we just leave the pi symbol in there because look what happens sometimes as we start dealing with this problem. Well, now I'm trying to solve it for r, right? R squared in this case, because that's what area equals, pi r squared, okay? I'm going to draw a line here, and maybe to start reducing things, what I might do is trying to isolate r. Well, I divide both sides by pi, right? Divide this side by pi and that side by pi. What happens when I divide pi by pi? Well, it's just like dividing any other number by itself. It becomes 1, so it cancels out here, and it cancels out on that side. And I'm left with 144 equals r squared, and then I can keep the problem going from there. I think you'll find out this happens with all 3 of these problems. So first, just set it up, though, by using the formula for area of a circle. And then I think you'll be able to do some reducing like we did here as you go, and you'll find out it ends up working out like problems like we've been doing today, okay? Or even like yesterday, taking a square root to help solve. But start off with the formula. That'll be a big hint for you. Okay, a little quick help on these last two. Number 50, just very brief help, but it just says I want you to find the 2x coordinates for the graph, okay, for this graph of this parabola. Okay, we didn't draw it very well, okay, but you can see it. But if it kept extending up, it's talking about where that graph would cross through the line of y equals 9. Like if I kept going up further on the graph, where the y coordinates are 9, what would be the x coordinates, okay, on that graph? Where would it hit? What would these 2 points be, the x coordinates of them? Well, all you do is you put y in for 9, right? Like that's what you're finding. The solutions along that line that would have y as 9, and then what x values would do that. And you'll find out it should be like solving some of the problems from before, okay? And that last one, number 62, it starts you off with the vertical motion model. So it tells you, it's kind of like riding, if you ride what's it called? The giant drop at Valley Fair. Very much like that ride, okay? Same thing, Power Tower, right? Power Tower, one of my favorites. But always kind of scary because I'm not good with heights. So I always get sweaty when I ride that one. But I do like riding that one a lot. So, but it's a freaky one. They take you up 250 feet and then they just drop you, okay? So this is, again, because for a while you're experiencing free fall until the brakes are activated at 105, thank goodness. But for a while you're experiencing free fall. You're a projectile, you're a vertical motion object that's just falling through the air, accelerated to the ground by gravity. So here's our vertical motion model, and just a reminder for those, it's h is the distance, the height, I should say, how far above the ground you are as you travel. They already have the negative 16t squared in there. And remember, v is the initial vertical velocity, how much initial velocity has been given to thrust us up or to throw us up into the air. Well, again, they're just taking you to 250 feet and dropping you. So your initial vertical velocity is 0. So that vt is going to cancel out. S, though, is the initial height, and they took us up to 250 feet. So here's the equation for part A. It gives you a little hint on how to put the exponent part in here, too. So check that out when you're entering it. But there's the equation you're going to use, okay? And then from here, part B talks about making a table. So T and H, and you'll plug in 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you have to fill that in on Schoology. I'll have you fill in the answers for those. And then after that, it also says, how long are you experiencing free fall? Part C, that is. And part C is saying you experience free fall until they slam on the brakes at 105 feet. I think it says somewhere up here. Yep, 105 feet. So how long, what time, right? You're trying to find a time are you experiencing free fall for? Well, you're experiencing it until they get to 105. So you're going to put 105 in for H. You can figure out. And then you'll end up solving, putting the rest of the equation here. Negative 16t squared plus 250. Okay? And then you can try solving for there and getting t by itself. All right? So there's a little bit of help. But if you still need more assistance or more hints, let me know and I can help you too, or go to the discussion board as well. Okay? Good luck, you guys. Thanks.